Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. Today is Wednesday. It is January the 20th, National Butter Crunch Day, which I like butter crunch, but I've never gone out of my way to get butter crunch. But it's good. National Cheese Lovers Day. Wow. I like cheese. I don't think there's a single kind of cheese I've ever tried that I didn't like. There's
some that I haven't liked.
Well, there's some that I like more than others, but I like just about every kind of cheese you put in front of me. And it's National Disc Jockey Day, although we don't really jockey discs anymore. We officially would be disc jockeys, Heidi. And I'll tell you, when I first started in radio, I worked at a station that we played records during the show that I did, and I can tell you why they called them disc jockeys. The songs were very short.
Around.
Oh, man. And you had to cue them up and get them ready. It was a lot of work. So I can tell you, they certainly earned that title. And I've got a guest coming up today. Super nice young lady. So excited to visit with Vaneetha Risner. She has a new book out. It's called Walking Through Fire, a memoir of loss and redemption. We'll chat with her all about that in a bit.
Addiction. It's not a pretty thing. Addiction can lead to many problems in your life. Addiction can drive away those who love you the most. And addiction can lead to the loss of jobs, relationships, and even your life. Don't let addiction tear your life apart anymore. Get the help you need to defeat addiction and put the pieces back together in your life. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. They want to help. Timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Now, surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com. Researchers in the European Society of Cardiology found that having half a glass of red wine, just says any kind of wine, half a glass of wine per day increases your chance of an irregular heartbeat. That's why Heidi always makes sure she has way more than half a glass.
Yeah, I don't want to take chances.
No, 4 or 5 half a glasses, or maybe 6 or 7. I've got a link to that study, by the way. And it's weird because one day they say wine is good.
Yeah, it's supposed to be good for
and
your
then the
heart.
next day they're like, wine is bad.
You just can't trust anybody anymore.
No. And a coral reef study predicted the ocean may soon be too warm for baby sharks. So I don't know what that means exactly.
Bad.
Second I said that, I thought of that song, Baby Shark.
Don't even. Don't even.
And I do have a link to that study as well. And maybe if you click the link, you'll accidentally find that song. Do you think? I wouldn't do that to you. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
Do you have a credit card? We'd like to help you get a better credit card. If you don't have any credit cards, we'd like to help you too. At BetterCreditCards.com, we have credit cards that offer different things for different people. Some cards offer points. Some cards are designed to help you build your credit. BetterCreditCards.com wants to help you get a better credit card, no matter what you're looking for. See if we can help you find a better credit card at BetterCreditCards.com. That's BetterCreditCards.com.
This is your Brain on Drugs, brought to you by TimeForRehab.com. I want to remind you that addiction is no laughing matter. If you need help with something like that, seek the help that you need. If you'd like to get any assistance from us, we've got a link there. It's TimeForRehab.com. But here's a story that I just think is such a sad story. A 7-year-old boy in China was found driving a 3-wheeler with his dad on the back. His dad had drank so much he was unconscious. The boy drove 12 miles to fetch his father, who had passed out after drinking too much. So somebody reached out and said, hey, can you come get him? And he went 12 miles, he's 7, to go pick up his dad and bring him home.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it is. It's really sad. So that guy could use some assistance. If you ever found yourself in a situation like that, think about the future and how you could be not in it if you don't quit. So that's bad. Again, timeforrehab.com.
John and Heidi.
Now, big screen, little screen, brought to you by channelsurfertv.com. Betty White turned 99 on Sunday.
99.
I think Betty White seems pretty darn awesome.
I think everybody loves Betty White.
And Betty White said, COVID-19 is afraid of me. So,
yeah. Oh.
The amazing thing, at her age, she still walks 5 miles a day. So every
Really?
day she goes for a walk and
Wow.
gets in
She
5
walks
miles.
more than I do.
Oh, absolutely more than I do. And Caitlyn Jenner is in the news. Caitlyn Jenner is said to be in talks with HBO to be involved in the reboot of Sex and the City. So there's something for you. I've got a link to both of those stories in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
At WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com, we help you get ready for all the fun holidays throughout the year with fun, silly, and just plain weird gift ideas for your friends. If you have a friend who has a bizarre sense of humor, we've got a gift for them. WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com posts a link to something that will make you smile each and every day. Whether you buy these weird gifts or not, it's worth checking out just for a smile. WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. That's WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com.
Now your scoop of the day. It comes your way, courtesy of giftcardchallenge.org. General Motors, also known as GM, unveiled a new thing called am I getting this right? A flying car?
No way.
Yeah, they have a concept for a flying car. They did this during a virtual presentation at the annual CES show. That's Consumer Electronics Show. So I think it could just be the CES. I don't think you need to put CES show because then they have show twice. But anyway, it was in Las Vegas. The car will not be out for another 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
So we're not
So it's
quite.
a concept.
It
It's
is a
not
concept, but they're saying, hey, we've got this plan and here's how we're going to make it work. Would you like to drive a flying car?
No.
I would. I've always wanted that. From the time I was a little kid, there was this show. I don't know if you remember it. It was so cutting edge. It was called The Jetsons. Mm-hmm. They would fly through the air. And then they had Rosie the robot.
I don't trust it.
And now we don't have Rosie the robot, but we have the
Just
Alexas
like I don't
and
trust
things.
the self-driving cars. I just have no interest in that.
Yeah.
I trust myself.
There you
That's
go.
about it.
She doesn't trust me either. She rides with me a lot. Whole time yelling at me to, pay attention and
That's
wake
true.
up and all kinds of stuff. A video of a man.
Nag.
A video of a man who went on a foul-mouthed tirade after getting kicked off a flight from Charlotte to D.C. That video's gone viral. So I'm not exactly sure what he did on the plane, but in the video, he does not look happy. So something went on. And this is a bizarre story. This should have been our weird news, but I only have the headlines. I don't know exactly what's going on, but this is certainly weird news. Here's the headline. A Russian circus is under fire for a show that featured a Nazi monkey and 2 goats with swastikas. Wait a minute. What? What? This was in Russia. So they're just now going, hey, you know what? Maybe we should quit doing that.
Oh, that's funny.
It seems to be making people angry. So I have no idea what was going on there. I have a link to the story, and I got a feeling that'll probably be the most clicked link today because
gosh.
it is just a questionable, very weird, bizarre story.
I'm going to go look for
Yeah, it's
it.
in the show notes, and we'll tell you how to get there in a second. But the last thing we're going to get to, if you haven't eaten for a while and you're starting to get a little snappy with everybody, it's because you're hangry, and that's a real phenomenon.
It is a real thing.
Research has pointed to the idea that being hangry is legit, but now they've got the proof. It says the lower your blood sugar gets, the less your the less fuel your brain has to function. It says while you can handle all of the critical brain tasks like breathing and seeing, but more complex things like they kind of turn into a bickering argument about doing the dishes or, having a constructive conversation, whatever. That stuff's not as simple. The result, it says that you will deal with the little things more impulsively, which leads to getting angrier easier. So maybe you just need a Snickers.
I definitely do. When I get
What they're saying
I'm hungry,
is that commercial is accurate.
It's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can have a thing called hanger, and it's like you're angry because you're hungry.
That's true.
Now you know. I've got a link to all of this stuff in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
Early to bed, early to rise makes you healthy, wealthy, and wise. This is a great quote from Benjamin Franklin. At InsuranceChicken.com, we know a thing or two about great quotes. We help people get great insurance quotes every day. It's super simple and free to find out if we can make you healthy, wealthy, and wise. Okay, I can't guarantee that, but I can assure you we'd love to help at InsuranceChicken.com. We want to help you peck out great deals on insurance. That's InsuranceChicken.com.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday. Our guest today, Vaneetha Risner, has a brand new book that literally just came out yesterday. It's called Walking Through Fire, a memoir of loss and redemption. Vaneetha, how are you?
I am doing well.
I appreciate you taking the time. First, I got to say, I love the name Vaneetha. I've never heard that name before. That's a really cool name.
Thank you. It's actually actually, I was born in India, and it's an Indian name, and I kind of joke with my mom because my sister's name is Shalini, and that name means sort of beautiful face, and then Vanetha means young girl. So I'm like, okay, so my sister was born, you're like, beautiful face. I was born, you're like, young girl. And I'm like, it's okay.
I think Vaneetha is a beautiful name, so that's really, really nice. And let's talk about the book, Walking Through Fire. And this is a book that was kind of a painful process for you to create because it's your life, but it can help people, can it?
Yes, and that's why I wrote it. I mean, it was a hard decision in some ways to write it because it brought back a lot of pretty hard memories, but it was healing for me. But yet I think I was gifted, which is a strange word to use, and I can explain it later, but with a lot of different kinds of suffering. I mean, I was bullied as a child because I had polio because of a doctor's mistake. So I lived in and out of the hospital. I had 21 operations by the time I was 13. Then I thought life was going to be great because I thought I'd been through all my suffering, but I lost a child due to a doctor's mistake. Then I was diagnosed with post-polio, which means I'm kind of leaning towards quadriplegia one day. You know, we don't know, but I use a wheelchair a lot. I can't use my hands as much. And then my ex-husband left me to raise 2 teenage daughters alone. And honestly, John, I felt like God hated me in periods during that time. I just couldn't believe all of these things were happening. And yet, in a strange way, each of those helped me see that God loved me even more than I could have imagined, which sounds crazy because I think when we go through suffering, we think, my first thought often is God hates me. But yet, as God met me in all of these things, I realized, wow, no, this is really God's love for me.
And one of the things I'm reading in the information here, you talk about good grief, which usually when I think good grief, I think of Charlie Brown because he said good grief all the time. But in your words, good grief is kind of it's a way to find the good in the bad. Is that right?
Yeah, it's really to find God's purposes in our grief. I mean, I think there's lots of different things around grief. One, I think we need to embrace it and not run away from it. And I think a lot of us in our pain, we just kind of want to push it down and say it didn't happen because that's the only way we think we can make it through. But I've learned from my own life that facing it with God and telling Him exactly how we feel about it is biblical and it draws us to God. So that's a really good way to grieve, as well as recognizing that God is actually using this in ways that we may never see. I would never say to somebody, you're going to see what God does. And I feel like Romans 8:28 can be misused when we tell people, oh, you're going to rejoice in this. But just knowing that God is going to use it, even if we can't see it, to me, helps me grieve, understanding. I don't get the purpose, but I do get there is a purpose.
Now, in here, I also see that you have several things that you should never say to somebody who is struggling. What are some of those things?
Never minimize. I think that's one of the hardest things is when people say, well, at least you can have another child, or at least it wasn't this bad. I think that is a very, very painful thing to do because it makes you feel like my suffering isn't important. I think it can be other things are, I think saying Romans 8:28, there's certain scriptures that I love and I say to myself, but I don't say them to other people because I think they feel like condemnation. And so that's another thing that I'm very careful about the way I use scripture when I tell people. And a lot of times, John, it's really being quiet. Like, I think when somebody's suffering, we, particularly me, honestly, I want to go in and have the best answer possible that is going to change how they feel. And I would say the biggest thing is we can't do that. Only Jesus can. So we need to speak when God calls us to. But for the most part, just sitting with somebody in their grief is the biggest gift we can give them.
And if you know somebody that's struggling right now, a book that just literally became available yesterday might be a great thing to do as well. Walking Through Fire, a memoir of loss and redemption. Vanetha.com is the website. I'll throw a link to that to make it really easy to find. Vaneetha, thank you for the time today.
Oh, great. Thank you. This was a great conversation. Thank you so much, John.
Absolutely. And again, I'll throw a link to the book in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
Addiction. It's not a pretty thing. Addiction can lead to many problems in your life. Addiction can drive away those who love you the most. And addiction can lead to the loss of jobs, relationships, and even your life. Don't let addiction tear your life apart anymore. Get the help you need to defeat addiction and put the pieces back together in your life. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. They want to help. Timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Goosebumps are meant to ward off predators. Yeah. So if you're ever wondering why we have goosebumps, it is a psychological reaction to small muscles attached to body hairs, which contract, which lead the hairs to stand on end. They say we inherited this from our ancestors. Back then, we had a big coat of body hair, and when we would get goosebumps, it would all stand up. It would make us look bigger and scarier.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, they say it caused our ancestors to appear bigger, and that would help ward off predators that they were trying to frighten. Modern humans have less body hair. Goosebumps no longer cause us to look that intimidating. But how about when you get scared? Like if you're watching something, you get scared, you get goosebumps. Same reason, you think?
Well, it's a defense mechanism,
Apparently.
I suppose.
I don't know if I believe any of that, but now you know. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
Now you know.
Now you know.
Do you have a credit card? We'd like to help you get a better credit card. If you don't have any credit cards, we'd like to help you too. At bettercreditcards.com, we have credit cards that offer different things for different people. Some cards offer points. Some cards are designed to help you build your credit. Bettercreditcards.com wants to help you get a better credit card, no matter what you're looking for. See if we can help you find a better credit card at bettercreditcards.com. That's bettercreditcards.com.
Time now for a news headline from somewhere in this world. Dateline Croatia. I don't know if we've been to Croatia before. I just love saying Croatia. I know I've never been there, but I mean for this segment. In Croatia, a quick-thinking bank teller ended a robbery by pretending she did not understand the robber.
Oh,
the crook
fun.
handed her a note, and she kept saying, "I don't understand this." And she kept handing it back. And he finally yelled so loudly, security guards heard what he was saying.
Okay.
And they stopped him. So they handed a note, and she's like, what you want to transfer? What are you trying to, I don't understand your writing. What is it? He's like,
girl.
I'm robbing
Quick
the place.
thinking.
Yeah. So pretty cool stuff. That is a news headline from somewhere in this world.
At WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com, we help you get ready for all the fun holidays throughout the year with fun, silly, and just plain weird gift ideas for your friends. If you have a friend who has a bizarre sense of humor, we've got a gift for them. WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com posts a link to something that will make you smile each and every day. Whether you buy these weird gifts or not, it's worth checking out just for a smile. WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. That's WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com.
Now, some weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. According to police, an Oregon carjacker got a little ways down the road and realized, hey, there's a kid in this car.
Oh.
And the carjacker turned back around and scolded the mother about her parenting.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, this happened right outside a grocery store where this lady in Beaverton, just outside of Portland, left a 4-year-old in a booster seat in a car that was running. She had left the car unlocked and went into a store to get some milk and some meat. She came out, the car was gone, and then the car pulled up. The Honda Pilot had a different driver.
Oh my gosh.
Who yelled at her, and he gave her a piece of his mind. And he said, he lectured the mother for leaving the child in the car and threatened to call the police on the mother. The mom grabbed her kid on the thief's orders, and then he drove off with her car. So, yeah, you're breaking the law stealing a car, and you're yelling at her for
Pretty
leaving
bad when you're getting moral advice from a car thief.
I'm telling you, he's right. It was a bad idea.
You might want to reevaluate your life.
It was a bad idea to leave a kid in a car that's running outside a grocery store, period.
For sure.
Don't do that. But I just think it's funny that he's
Did it
saying...
say how old the child was?
4.
4.
Yeah,
okay.
bad idea. Today's Weird News.
John and Heidi.
Time now for your moment of duh, brought to you by timeforrehab.com. Airport security caught a traveler trying to board a plane with a switchblade throwing knife, which I've never even heard of such a thing. They confiscated the throwing star, but the flyer was not cited because the Japanese-style weapon is legal in the state of Virginia. The traveler did have to relinquish the weapon to the TSA officer and then catch their flight. They called the throwing star a routine prohibited item. New York Port Authority arrested a Florida-bound flyer back in 2019 when they caught him with a razor-sharp throwing star in his carry-on. It's not legal there. So,
any knife is a throwing knife if you think about it.
That's a butter knife. Well, watch this. Now, the whole thing is just bizarre, and I can imagine if you just forgot you had something in your pocket. It kind of sounds like that's what happened here. But the whole thing's weird. I've got a link to the story. It's in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com.
Early to bed, early to rise makes you healthy, wealthy, and wise. This is a great quote from Benjamin Franklin. At InsuranceChicken.com, we know a thing or two about great quotes. We help people get great insurance quotes every day. It's super simple and free to find out if we can make you healthy, wealthy, and wise. Okay, I can't guarantee that, but I can assure you we'd love to help at InsuranceChicken.com. We want to help you peck out great deals on insurance. That's InsuranceChicken.com.
Time now for fake news or Florida. Heidi, tell me, is this a true story from the great state of Florida, or is it fake news made up to trick you and amuse me? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Fake news or Florida. A Florida man has been making headlines driving an army tank around the suburbs of his community. Fake news or Florida?
I'll say Florida.
It is a true story. Yeah, and police say it is not illegal because the guns on the tank are non-functional.
Yeah, I would drive.
So-
I would totally drive a tank.
You know,
if
it
I
would be
had
kind
one.
of cool, but can you imagine trying to get a parking space?
I would assume the wear and tear on the roads would be.
Yeah, you would think so. I don't know.
But
It's probably not. Have to see if we can get a station vehicle.
Let's get a tank.
I don't think we're going to get a tank. Thanks for listening to today's Fake News or Florida on the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think this is good news. Comes your way courtesy of giftcardchallenge.org, which is a place you can go to, make your own good news. And this is just such an adorable story. A jogger smashes the ice to rescue a dog and then continues on his run. A runner jumped into a frozen lake in England to save a dog that had busted through the ice, and then he carried on with his run, according to this. A bystander happened to catch this on tape.
Oh.
Says, what a hero. This complete stranger rescued the family's dog when they got into trouble at the park. It says, we got to the lake. I could see the dog on the water. I was trying to get onto the ice, but I kept falling back in. And he said, I felt panic-stricken and scoured the sides of the lake for a little life buoy, but I couldn't find one. That's when Darcy Pell, 31, who was out for a run with a friend, spotted the commotion. An experienced cold water swimmer, Pell didn't hesitate to enter the water and help the stranded dog swim back to shore. Pell has been hailed by a hero, as many who have watched this video. Not a hero, just saw a dog in need, he said on Facebook. Luckily, I swim in cold, icy water as a hobby.
Of course he does.
And I know the risks that it can cause. He carried on with his run afterwards because he said it's not a big deal. He was given a jacket by his buddy. Obviously, I don't recommend other people do the same. But he said, I'm glad the dog was happy and I was able to carry it on and was happy to carry on its walk after. Okay, so he's happy the dog.
The dog was able to continue on.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. Oh, I do this as a hobby.
I think it's what a hobby.
Awesome.
Excuse me. I do this all the time.
It's okay.
It's pretty cool. I've got a link to the video if you want to see it. It's in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Bye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show.